Tuesday Talks on RTL SA.
RTL SA.
Catch Tuesday Talks with Noel Johnson and Dave Romero, live on RTL SA. Politics, religion, business and life. No subject is sacred. You are invited to join the conversation every Tuesday between 10 and 12, unpacking information on ground level. Tuesday Talks on RTL SA.
RTL SA.
Well, the coffee is loaded, the cigarette is lit, and Dave Romero is in the house. Dave, how are you doing?
Good morning, Noel. I'm great from a rainy, miserable Cape Town for a change.
Well, you know what? I'm so glad. Because I'm always so jealous about the beautiful weather you've got and all that stuff going on there. And we've had a lot of rain lately as well. So I'm glad that the tables have been flipped a little bit this week.
Yeah, so it's our typical winter kind of start of rainy season with this light drizzle. So, yeah, I think this is going to be set the whole day.
I'll tell you what, last night here in Durban, I don't think I've ever seen as much mist as I did last night. It was actually quite
really?
weird.
Okay.
Yeah. Especially down in the part of Durban where I live, you know, in the lower upper highway area. The upper highway area, lots of mist all the time, but we don't get too much down in Westville.
Okay. Yeah, it's unusual, though. I actually wouldn't think that you get any mist in Durban because of the humidity.
Yeah, I know. It's just, you know, upper highway area, you know, in the cheap seats where we do get the odd mist every now and then. Dave, big news. The biggest news of the week so far. And I didn't warn you about this, so I'm hoping that you are a fan with the story. But the biggest news at the moment has got to be the heavyweight fight between Will Smith and Chris Rock at the Academy Awards yesterday.
No! Are we really going to discuss? You know how much airtime and how much media coverage has this attracted? It's ridiculous.
It's crazy.
Are you seriously? What do you want me to? You want me to comment on that?
Well, listen. The reason why I brought it up was because when I heard about it yesterday, and I heard about it before my show, but I wasn't sure exactly what happened, so I didn't say anything in the show yesterday. I initially thought that it was staged, and then today, while I was prepping the show, it turns out that today is National Smoke and Mirrors Day. So I thought to myself, you know, hang on, maybe I've got a point over here. And then I watched the clip, and I'm not so sure. Either Will Smith, who is now an Academy Award winner, played the role of his life, or alternatively, he was really pissed off.
Well, I think what happened initially, he laughed at it, and then you saw his wife's reaction. And when you saw his wife's reaction, that's when he went on stage and gave Chris a clap. So I don't know. I got my own feelings about comedians ripping people apart as a funny as part of their repertoire. I don't know. I just got a fundamental problem with that, of just ripping people apart. And she was quite. I mean, she's gone. She's had this ailment now for 4 years, and she's been quite vocal about it apparently. And apparently, it's a problem in particular with black women for some reason. So she's highly sensitive about the situation. So I know comedians have criticized Will Smith for his reaction. You know, I don't know. I think he lost it. He lost it a bit. I think I read somewhere that they've been going through marital problems between the two of them. So something. There was a trigger. I don't condone any kind of violence, but at the same time, one has to protect one's lady, and I think it's so difficult. I really don't know. I don't know where I stand on this, to be honest with you.
Well, yes.
I would have done the same.
Here's the thing.
Will did.
Okay, here's the way I look at it, and I've been in. I'm nowhere near like Will Smith status or whatever, but you know, when you are in the public eye, you very often have to take a different approach to how you would react to certain things. I mean, me personally, I've had my fair share of problems. The newspapers liked me for a while, but yeah, I honestly just think that if it was a real situation, if it wasn't staged, and it was actually Will Smith reacting the way he is, firstly, Jada Pinkett Smith as well as Will Smith are what they call A-class or A-list celebrities. So they are amongst the most famous people in the world. Therefore, they have a responsibility to have a type of behavior in the public eye. And if this was a real situation, which I'm not 100% sure it is, I honestly think Will Smith really was out of line.
Yeah, I mean, on balance, I would think that he was out of line. And in fact, the Academy is contemplating banning Will Smith from future attendance. And I think I read somewhere, I could be wrong, that they think of withdrawing the Oscar from him. Yeah, so, you know, in this day and age, one cannot condone violence, but at the same time, I think men are not honoring their woman enough. And it is a very delicate subject, clearly, but one cannot condone violence. I mean, you can't go on the international stage and just clap someone. I mean, it's just it's just not on.
This is why I think it's smoke and mirrors, because when you're watching it in real time, you don't see it. But one of the articles I was reading this morning, there was actually a freeze frame after he slapped him and he turned around and walked away and he had a big smile on his face. Now that smile could be like, okay, I am very satisfied with what I've just done, or it could be, we pulled this off. This was the greatest ruse of the century, you know, type of thing, creating a little bit of hype. And a lot of people are saying that, now again, I'm the conspiracy theorist here, but a lot of people are saying because of the ratings, the Academy Awards ratings in the past few years, and less viewership year on year and things like that, that this was a bit of a publicity stint, so to say. And I don't know. I think where there's smoke, there might be a fire.
Well, so you're saying that you saw frame by frame that there was no contact? Is that what you're saying?
No, there was contact. No, there was definitely contact. But Will Smith had a smile on his face walking away from the contact. He didn't look angry, so to say. So I don't know.
Well, you know when he went to sit down and he shouted from his seat at Chris Rock, he looked pretty angry. Huh?
He looked pretty angry there, yeah.
He looked.
But then again, he is an incredible actor, isn't he? Yeah. He's a good actor. I don't know. I just think personally, and I think we've spent way too much time talking about this today because it actually really isn't important.
Bullshit.
Yeah.
10 minutes. I cannot believe it.
Anyway, moving on.
We haven't even talked about Ukraine.
No, that's what I was about to say. Moving on. Let's talk about Russia, Ukraine quickly before we get into our main topic today. People are dying, and talks continue, and it just doesn't seem. Now there's talk of chemical warfare that's already taking place. 2 Ukrainian leaders that have been poisoned, apparently, allegedly, and Russia using cluster bombs and things like that. And there's actually now some legal recourse that's taking place regarding all of this.
Yeah. Well, did you hear what Biden said?
Well-
he said publicly that Putin should not be in power. And,
He also
and that's caused a major uproar of him saying that. And now he's, I just watched a clip earlier where he's backpedaling. He says it doesn't mean that he wants to see a regime change, but certainly the statement sounds very much like he does want to see regime change.
I want to see a regime change. I would
No,
blame him.
but now, sorry not to interrupt you, but by him saying that, gives Putin the excuse to go into NATO countries. That gives him an excuse now, and that there lies the danger, because if I mean, for making a statement like that, and he's saying the way he's explaining this, he's saying that Putin shouldn't be doing this kind of thing. Okay, which we all agree. We obviously agree that. But the leader of the free world saying that Putin should not be in power will give Putin the excuse and tell these people, you see, they want to change, they want to influence the regime of our country, and that could give him an excuse to go into Poland. I don't know. I don't know where this is going to end up. And I'm not predicting it at all.
No, you don't. Your track record sucks. But one thing Biden said.
I know, that's what I say.
One thing Biden said as well. He said that if there are any indications of any form of chemical warfare, that becomes a game changer. Which I think what he was implying was that should Russia use any form of chemical warfare, which now there are allegations of, that the US will escalate their involvement.
Yeah, but again, what does that mean? No. I mean, what does it actually mean? I just can't foresee. I mean, can you possibly imagine American soldiers shooting at Russian soldiers? I mean, do you think that is a possibility?
Well, we didn't think that this was going to be a possibility, to be honest, where we're at the moment. So
I don't know. We're living in scary times. So I don't know.
Anyway,
I don't know.
Yeah, it's a. You know, I just feel for the people on the ground, because people are dying while there is no resolution, and it doesn't seem like there's going to be any resolution. Although Ukraine are now saying that they are happy to become an independent, or sort of, so to say, a passive state, not a member of NATO, not a Russian entity, but sort of neutral in the years going forward, where they don't don't entertain anything.
Yeah, they're saying now, again, I saw a clip where Zelensky's saying they won't join NATO, they'll be neutral, and they'll give those regions, they're prepared to talk about autonomy for those regions, they're prepared to talk about Crimea. So it's basically reaching a point where he's giving concessions. And even though the Ukrainian military forces have stalled the Russian forces, the danger with that is that Putin wants to save face, and you'll get more desperate, and you'll just escalate the bombardment of the Ukrainian cities to the point where it'll just flatten all of them. And I think that's what Zelensky is worried about, that Putin is just going to do that. So I don't think he really has a choice but to start some form of negotiations and giving some concessions to the Russians.
Yeah, but a lot of people are also saying that Putin's end game is not what he's asking for. There's a bigger end game at play here.
Yes.
And a lot of speculation is more territory in Europe, so to say, and that's actually his bigger end game rather than just the Ukraine.
Well, the Belarus president, he inadvertently showed the map where Russia also invaded Moldova, which is a state right next to Ukraine, on the east, on the west side of Ukraine. So I think you're right. I think he's got ambitions of restoring the Soviet Empire.
Anyway, it's a story that we have to watch carefully and see how it unfolds. Dave, we're going to take a little break. When we come back, we're going to pick up my story yesterday when we were talking about teenage pregnancies in the country, which is quite scary.
Own your piece of art by
Bad Joke Friday in other news. Power Play Trivia.
You will be helping keep RTL on air and building infrastructure for as little as
R300 per week.
have your company's name associated with the fastest growing online radio station in the world.
The RTL SA Top 10. Your top three.
Contact RTL for more info on WhatsApp 064 134 0020 or email info@noeljohnson.co.za.
It's time to mass debate on RTL SA.
Tuesday Talks on RTL SA.
RTL SA.
Catch Tuesday Talks with Noel Johnson and Dave Romero, live on RTL SA. Politics, religion, business and life. No subject is sacred. You are invited to join the conversation every Tuesday between 10 and 12, unpacking information on ground level. Tuesday Talks on RTL SA.
RTL SA.
You're listening to RTL SA.
And in the middle of Tuesday Talks, Dave, yesterday in my show, I spoke about teenage pregnancies quite extensively and the problem that has become throughout the last few years or so in the country. And one of the most alarming statistics, which is sort of where I move away from it being teenage pregnancies to more a situation of child rape, is the stat of just last year 5,500 odd pregnancies in children. And I say the word children very specifically because it was children between the ages of 10 and 14. 5,500 in certain areas in the country. And for me, that takes it away from a teenage pregnancy and just makes it point blank rape as far as I'm concerned.
Well, it just goes to show the state of or the morality of our country in all areas. I mean, you look at gender-based violence, we've got the highest rate in the world, and rapes. It's just a total moral decay, and you know it's such a sad state of affairs. And I think it's the problem is that it's a problem. The biggest problem area in all of this is the unaccountability of the male or the boy that perpetrates this crime. It appears that they get off scot-free, and they should be made an example when an underage girl falls pregnant. That regardless of the age of this boy, she should go into some kind of detention and some severe punishment on the side of the boy. But it doesn't happen. And it just destroys these girls and teenagers' lives. I have a real case example in my girlfriend's maid, a 16-year-old A student. I mean, she was getting A's in school, fell pregnant, and now she has to drop out and look after the child. And the father's nowhere to be seen. The father's not taking any responsibility. It is shocking. The punishment for what you just articulated for underage girls falling pregnant and his rape, statutory rape, the boys or the young men or whatever you want to call them should go to some kind of detention. But it doesn't happen. That's the reason why this is just carrying on.
Well, the most alarming thing about it was, and the person who was speaking on behalf of government, because now government is creating an initiative to deal with it. We'll talk about that in a bit. But she said there's a report of a 10-year-old mother, but there's no report of a 10-year-old father, because the father was not 10 years old. The father was older, quite a bit older. And, I just think it's horrific, that specific instance. But in the larger scheme of things, and I think this is more where you are talking about as well, is 83,000 odd teenage pregnancies in the last 2 years. 83,000 teenage pregnancies in the last 2 years.
And it was a public official in Limpopo, I think in the Department of Education, either deputy minister or someone very senior turned around and said that the girls should learn to close their legs. Okay. literally, she literally said this. Now, if you in government and you've got that mindset, no wonder the things are so messed up. How on earth can someone go and make a statement like this? The problem is the boys and the men, not the girls. And it's the boy. You see, and it's also gender-based violence and rape. The problem is the men. The men's the problem. Clark, don't try to pass it on to the woman. Okay, it's these guys that have sex with underage girls must go to jail. Clark, there should be a special court, like a juvenile court or whatever you want to call it. They must go to jail. They must pay the price, but they don't. Do you know? Listen to this. Okay, so I told you about my mate. That's the 16-year-old student. Basically, a life's ruined. Okay, because now she's at home looking after the child. Do you know that in certain cultures, the mother cannot confront the perpetrator? She has to find a male figure to represent the family to go now discuss the situation with this man about maintenance, etc. She can't take him on. Okay, it's some in certain cultures. And when she articulated that to my girlfriend, we're horrified. This is an age that men just don't take accountability. It's disgusting, man.
Well, government's
disgusting.
Government's of the opinion that education is the biggest tool to dealing with this issue, and to a large degree, I'm in agreement with that in the sense that it is important.
Yes.
Education is important, and it should have been an important matter for the last 100 years. It should have been an important matter.
Yes.
But I'm just not sure at this point, when we're talking about 83,000 odd teenage pregnancies, 5,000 odd below the ages of 14 in the last year, whether education is enough. Now, I'm not saying that you should take the young boys to the gallows and hang them. That's not what I'm saying at all. But there's got to be some sort of drastic intervention right now from government to at least curb the trend that has been developing over the last few years. And I'm not sure that going around from town to town and educating is necessarily the only answer that we need right now.
No, I agree education is important, okay? There's no question about it. But do you need to educate somebody to say, listen, having sex with a 10-year-old is wrong? I mean, certain things, it's like trying to educate someone and saying, listen, when you take a gun and you shoot somebody, that action of killing somebody is wrong. Right? I mean, these are basic stuff, right? It doesn't require education to understand that this is wrong. Yes, of course we need education, but we need better role models in parents. You know, the problem we have in South Africa, that I think it's the stats is 75% of mothers that they bring up children have got absent fathers. There's no role models. There's no people that men or young boys. Who do they look up to if the father is not there and the father's not a good role model? So education is obviously important, but the whole society has to change. And again, I cannot obviously. I'm not perpetuating someone should go to the gallows, but the person that does this, regardless of age, and I'm obviously not putting into a prison, a normal prison, but in some form of detention, some form of punishment.
Maybe
I mean,
maybe like a rehabilitation
understand-
program or something like that. Maybe a rehabilitation
Yeah.
program or something like that.
Yeah, but I wouldn't put them with hardcore criminals. But maybe you have special detention centers where these boys get put in and get rehabilitated and so that when they go back in society they are better people. But look, it's the problem is not simple, obviously. The solution is not simple, but I think it's a combination of things. Education obviously is one thing, but I believe very strongly that there should be strong consequences for somebody that does this.
Now, in my burning topic yesterday, I asked for suggestions of what can be done, and some of the people came through saying, okay, most people said education, but some of the people also came through and said things like making the injection available for the girls and condoms for the guys and stuff like that. And I'm not saying it's a horrible idea, but I'm also thinking that is sort of almost like giving license, so to say, or condoning the situation to a large degree by empowering them. And I don't know, that's tricky. I mean, I'm really stepping on the danger side of the argument here, but I just don't know if that is necessarily the solution either.
Well, talk about controversial subjects. The thing is this, that I would think it's better that condoms are supplied as opposed to wrecking someone's future. Do you think that by supplying condoms and the injections, etc., it will increase the pregnancies? No, I don't think it will increase the pregnancies. I don't think it will increase the rape rate either. But I think again, it's a combination of things. I've got two daughters, and it's a very delicate subject.
It is indeed.
A very delicate subject.
Well, Dave, we're going to talk about it in the future again, because I definitely don't think that it's a situation that's going to be resolved anytime soon. But government is making or taking proactive steps now to getting into the smaller cities and towns and going to schools and talking to people about it. And I think that is a step in the right direction. But right now, we've got a little other issue that we've got to deal with. You know what time of the day it is?
Oh, here we go. So what's my score now?
I think you are sitting on, I speak under correction because I'm not really keeping score, but maybe 4 out of 7 or 4 out of 8 or something like that.
Yeah, 4. I got 4 right. Yeah, I don't know. I think you've been generous on the other side.
It's probably like 12.
I thought it's more like 4 out of 10.
Today's question is quite easy, however. I think you're going to nail this one.
All right,
Time to test your knowledge with Power Play Trivia.
Right, your Power Play Trivia brought to you by Bev Miller. Correct answers coming through today from Lauren, Cheryl, Marius, and Bob as well. Let's see if Dave has got it today. The question, Dave, is what language is the most popularly spoken in the world?
Oh, wow. Okay, obviously English and Spanish is up there, but I would say Mandarin.
Dave, you would be absolutely incorrect.
Oh no! But it's either Spanish or English. English says English.
No.
Or Spanish.
Here's the trick. I think it was up until 2017, Chinese and Mandarin was the most spoken language worldwide, popularly. Since then, it has become English. Believe it or not.
Since what? 5 years ago.
Yeah. Simple as that.
And what's the reason that's become more than Mandarin?
I have no idea. I didn't research that part of the question.
Are you sure you're correct?
Dave, no.
Sure
I know.
you're right?
I know for a fact I'm correct, and I've got a supporting video as well. Because initially the question's answer was Chinese until I went and researched it and found out that it was in fact Chinese up until 2017. But if you don't believe me, I've got the video to prove it. I'll catch you next week, Dave. Have a look at this.
Tuesday Talks on RTL SA.
RTL SA.
Catch Tuesday Talks with Noel Johnson and Dave Romero, live on RTL SA. Politics, religion, business and life. No subject is sacred. You are invited to join the conversation every Tuesday between 10 and 12, unpacking information on ground level. Tuesday Talks on RTL SA.
RTL SA.